Before we get into this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Strange History exists to document what actually worked when survival wasn't theoretical. If you care about how individual soldiers stayed alive with what they could carry on their backs, you're exactly where you should be. World War II combat was not fought by loadout spreadsheets or doctrine manuals. It was fought by individuals who learned very quickly which weapons could be trusted when everything went wrong. Cold, mud, rain, stress, exhaustion, and fear stripped gear down to its essentials. American soldiers didn't survive because they carried the most equipment. They survived because they carried what worked, and they learned what to rely on through hard experience. This is not about official issue lists. This is about real, practical, individual loadouts, what one American soldier often preferred to carry, maintain, and trust in combat and survival conditions. The infantry rifleman loadout built around the M1 Garand. For most American infantrymen, survival began with the M1 Garand. Soldiers trusted it because it worked in conditions that killed lesser rifles. Mud, snow, sand, and neglect rarely stopped it. Its semi-automatic fire gave US soldiers a decisive edge, allowing faster follow-up shots without sacrificing reliability. A typical rifleman carried the Garand with 8-round en-bloc clips stored in canvas bandoliers or cartridge belts, usually loaded with at least 80 rounds, often more if the situation allowed. The soldier's musette bag or haversack contained spare socks, rations, a poncho, and cleaning gear. Many soldiers kept a basic rifle cleaning kit on them at all times because a clean Garand was a living Garand. A bayonet was not ceremonial. It was a tool used for intimidation, last-ditch defense, and utility tasks. Riflemen trusted simplicity. Fewer moving parts meant fewer failures when survival depended on the next trigger pull. The NCO loadout, often favored the M1 carbine. Non-commissioned officers, they often preferred the M1 carbine. It was lighter, shorter, and just easier to maneuver in tight terrain, whether that was urban fighting or dense forests. While it lacked the stopping power of the Garand, its handling made it ideal for leaders who needed to move constantly and communicate under fire. Carbine magazines were compact, allowing soldiers to carry more ammunition without excessive weight. NCOs often carried 6 to 10 magazines in pouches along with a sidearm if one was available. Their packs usually contained maps, notebooks, signal equipment, and extra rations rather than heavy combat gear. The carbine became trusted not because it was perfect, but because it allowed leaders to stay mobile and alive while doing their jobs. Survival for an NCO meant staying aware, not getting pinned down. The Thompson submachine gun loadout was, honestly, all about close combat survival. Soldiers operating in urban environments, jungles, or assault roles often trusted the Thompson. Heavy, expensive, and brutally effective, it delivered immediate stopping power at close range. When fights happened suddenly and distances collapsed, Thompson carriers often survived encounters that would have overwhelmed riflemen. A Thompson loadout was ammunition-heavy. Magazines were bulky, so soldiers often carried fewer but relied on rapid firepower. Drums were less common in combat due to weight and noise, but stick magazines were trusted. Thompson users frequently carried fewer extra supplies to offset weight. What they sacrificed in comfort, they gained in immediate lethality. In survival terms, the Thompson was about dominating short-range chaos. The bar gunner's survival-first loadout. The Browning automatic rifle was trusted not because it was light, but because it kept enemies pinned. Bar gunners carried enormous responsibility and risk. Their weapon was both a suppressive tool and a morale anchor for their unit. A bar loadout included spare magazines carried by the gunner and assistants. Ammunition distribution was a survival strategy, not convenience. The gunner's pack often carried minimal personal items. Food, water, and ammo took priority over everything else. Survival for a bar gunner meant endurance. The weapon was heavy, but when it spoke, others lived. The sidearm loadout, the M1911 pistol. The M1911 was not a primary weapon, it was a last line of survival. Officers, tank crewmen, machine gunners, and medics trusted it because it was reliable, powerful, and simple. A typical sidearm loadout included 2 to 3 spare magazines carried on the belt. Soldiers cleaned their pistols obsessively because, honestly, if it came out, the situation was already desperate. The .45 ACP round earned its reputation through consistency, not speed. For many soldiers, the pistol represented reassurance. It wasn't about winning firefights, it was about having something that worked when everything else was gone. Beyond firearms, survival depended on what filled the small spaces left in packs and pockets. Soldiers carried mess kits, water purification tablets when available, extra socks, foot powder, and personal comfort items. These weren't luxuries. Foot care, hydration, and warmth kept soldiers' combat effective. Many carried improvised items, extra cord, cloth, or scavenged tools. Soldiers adapted constantly. Their loadouts evolved based on experience, terrain, and losses. The most trusted equipment was not always issued, it was often learned. American soldiers survived World War II not because they had the best gear on paper, but because they learned what to trust under pressure. Their individual loadouts reflected realism, not theory. Weapons were chosen for reliability. Packs were packed for endurance. Everything unnecessary was discarded. If you value this kind of grounded military history, subscribe to Strange History and share this video. These stories matter because they were written by individuals who carried their survival on their backs, one decision at a time.